are welcome yet again to this episode of the Archives Show, where we host theater people, dance people, whoever's done theater in any form of way. Dancers, directors, producers, actors, sound engineers, stage managers, everybody has done theater in all kinds of way. We host them on this show and they tell us about themselves, about the story, and how they see the industry. You're welcome today, and we are honored to host yet another good gentleman who has done amazingly in terms of sound department. We are honored to host Mr. Richard Serunjoji.
Please.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and to share some of the snippets of things that we do and what really actually happens in this industry where we are, mostly specifically the theater fraternity. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time today and for coming to talk to us. Let's start from this question.
Okay.
Theater.
Yes.
If someone says theater, what comes to mind? What is theater to you?
Theater, not like any other given spaces. I'd say theater is a breathing art form that brings people together to experience stories in real life. However, it's also both an entertainment and education thing, a mirror to the society that actually that tries to bring different elements together, where you get to experience elements of sound, visuals, and the performances. Yeah, that that create that emotional journey for everyone to experience. In the realness, not something that you just imagine or envision, but you just experience everything like as is in that particular time and that very moment. Yes.
That's so technical. I think that takes so many years of experience of working to get to that definition.
Yes.
Still on that same point.
Yeah.
What's your background? How did you start? How did you get into the theater? Paint for us that picture of that day that you discovered I belong to theater.
I belong to theater.
Yes.
I would say earlier in the days, I first went for something that was a little bit unique in this country, and that was telecom engineering.
Okay.
Yes, that is after my higher school studies, because I did PCB math. Then from there, when I went to campus, I specialized in telecom engineering because I realized that the engineers were few in the telecom sector. And around that time, I think we had only MTN as the biggest player in the market, and I think Airtel.
Airtel, Warid,
Airtel,
Zain.
then Warid also came on board. So at the time when we were also approaching to that point of like getting out of the institution, is now when we started hunting out for placements.
Okay.
Those things of internship and whatsoever. But luckily enough, we got opportunities like in different departments. But our goal was now to see our way on how we could now chip in into the main points that we really found our points of interest. And now that's where now we join like sales. So along the way, things turned round, and
They always
I know
do.
everyone heard of the merger that happened between Airtel and Warid. So that transition didn't leave things the same, and most of us now had to, figure out life in a different perspective. And it's that on that note, then I sat back. I'm like, now, what do I do? Of course, as you grow up, you have like different passions.
Yes.
For me, even before I went for engineering, I really wanted so much to deal with issues to do with like repairing small things. Once they get faulty. So I was really so passionate.
And sometimes you even destroy them yourself so
Exactly.
that you repair them.
So as time went by, I started to think now, because also at church, I used to help out on issues of like sound equipment, like lifting stuff here and there, then also working closely with the people who were there at that time. So I began to take interest little by little. So as time went by, and I'm like, now why don't I like put myself into this whole bit, so that I specialize and get to know much more about what sound is all about. So I had to go and also do sound engineering for that purpose. And I really did, we really taught a lot that of course had also a couple of practical element to make us well acquainted with what probably you might find out there. Though the outside world also has its own bit of experience, you get to see things in a different way from what the school has actually been sharing with you. And maybe in most cases, you also have like the relation, so much of the relation of the things that you've been studying and what actually you're actually finding
what
in that.
the-
You get the notes element, then combine them with
With
the
the
practical
field
element.
experience,
Now you dive into the actual thing. Yeah. So once I did the sound engineering, then eventually I found myself now picking interest because around the same period of time, I was good at watching movies. Yeah, watching movies now, you see, like stories fascinate a lot, and there's really a lot that connects with them. Yeah, it's more than the dialogue that's actually being said, but now all those other aspects that work around them, you know, that create
that environment
exactly
of
the
the story.
environment of the story, you know. So I was really so pulled close, and in that regard, I gradually now started specializing in that element. I'm like, now I think what's that kind of thing that can bring me close to this bit of it. Of course, it might not be film, but of course it might come in another sense. Then
Yes.
I realized there was that element of theater.
So
then I'm like, okay, I think now let me see how I dive into this and also make that richness that mimics what appears in the movies that we watch, but we also bring now that closeness to the audience now that comes to sit before us to, you know, get to experience that whole bit of the aspect of like what really happens. You see, because when you see a movie, you might not maybe feel some of the elements, maybe you only follow the dialogue, but you see when you're in theater, like it brings on board all, like everything. You look at the costuming, you look at the lighting, you look at, you know, all the transitions, and you appreciate everything, the way everything happens. And I think now 6 years down the road, I joined, like I've been working for this institution that is from 2018, working with the Uganda National Culture Center, National Theatre, of course, because it's a two-way thing. We have the National Theatre, then we also do have the Culture Center. Yes, exactly. So I joined the institution, then I've also gotten a chance to collaborate with a couple of local and international theatre companies, of course focusing on plays, dance productions, and community projects as well. Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. Now, you've painted a picture of where I was going to, like how you got into sound design from the field. I'd like to take you back a little bit. Someone out there wants to know what your first production was. You know, those nerves of like getting to the console. Do you remember that production? What was that first production you worked on?
The very first production, it's a tough one because you know, in my head, I've tackled a number of them, and keeping memory of them is really a bit hard. But when I go to my archives and now try to look into the scripts that I've worked on, because remember, when you work on a script, it becomes like your intellectual property.
Yes.
Yeah, because so much that you've put in, and now everyone now just has to maybe come if they're really interested in your works, and maybe share with them what you did, and maybe they can take it on. But to some of the few that I do remember, I think it was a school.
Okay.
production.
Mm.
Those literature set plays,
Mm-hmm.
and that should have been Hattusas.
Hattusas.
Yes, Hattusas.
Mm.
Though, at the time when I worked on it,
Mm.
now a couple of things got to change over the years.
Mm.
Yeah, because you get to realize like different things. You see, like when you're a designer, like so many things keep coming into your head.
Mm-hmm.
Now you
True.
want to keep on adjusting a couple of things here and there, like to make the production much more better, like give it a different experience from what it had like earlier before. So and this is what has actually been like been happening. Actually, it's been a development in progress.
Yes.
So every time maybe a new production house comes on board and they want to do the same production, so you find yourself maybe there's something that you feel, given what you interface with maybe the cast and also maybe the conversation that you might have with the director, you know, because every director sees things differently.
Yes.
So they want to maybe share their thought in regards to the production they want to bring on board. And whatever that we do is just to add an icing on the cake.
Yes.
Over and above what they think that is really like suiting for maybe that production to actually give it the life that it really desires in that sense of direction. Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm still on your case. I know there's now as a sound designer, you've told us how there's so much you take in, there's a lot of adjustment you do.
Yep.
That's a lot of, let me call it madness, because it's too much. But you have to shape it
Yes.
into something uniform.
Yes.
Is there a method to the madness you have? How do you make sure that whatever you're taking in, you have now molded it and it becomes something sweet for the audience to do? What are those? Do you have like rituals? What do you do before you start like working on a sound design?
In that case, I would say because most of those things are really guided by the marking guides that we have. Of course, for me, I call them marking guides, like the script. That's why in so many cases, when you come to theater and you have no script, it really becomes so hard.
Challenging, yes.
For maybe the technical team to support you well appropriately. Why? Because there are no things that the team can now base on to try to, you know, come up with like outrageous things that, you know, everyone probably wouldn't really believe from maybe like your work that you've actually come up with at that particular time. So, and in that sense, the moment you have the script, it really helps a lot. And having also been guided like by the director, of course they share with you what they feel prior before and also maybe share with you the script. Then now you go over and beyond, yeah, to read the script, have an understanding about the script, put yourself into the shoes of the cast, you know, get all those different bits of the emotions and the feelings and you know, whatever the moments, yeah, then now you start to create, yeah, to start to breathe life in the different aspects of the script, the different scenes, maybe the acts and whatsoever, you know. Then the fine tuning can possibly come when you're doing the rehearsals, okay?
Yes.
Because now you need to connect with the cast, because I might do the design, but now the cast would come and they give you a different kind of feel.
You have done your thing.
Exactly.
But now this is the reality.
What you've envisioned and what you've imagined. And of course it is two-way, because you could discuss it out with the cast and see if they can chip in. But in any case, if they feel their way feels the safest, and maybe that's the best way they can really pull it off, now it takes you back to the drawing board. You make some notes, of course. Then you go back, then you try to adjust something that now would really
it's workable for both.
Exactly. That would perfectly fit within the character's, you know, kind of expression, yeah, at that very given moment. Yes.
Yeah, talking about working with a cast, with a director, there are those moments I know, because I've also been backstage sometime, when you have planned something, but at the time of execution, it's not working properly.
Mm-hmm.
What are those hacks you can give to someone out there to, if they're doing the same job as you as sound designer? How do you solve that? Like, you've planned something as a sound designer in your design, but now it's not working. How do you, like, now go back to the drawing board to make sure you are speaking the same language with the people that you're working with?
I think in this regard, I would want to bring out that element of collaboration because it is a very key aspect in this. And also being humble and what's the other word? It's actually just gone off it. But just being down to earth, maybe I would say that. Because this whole thing involves teamwork.
Yes.
Yeah, because you see with sound design, it's not an aspect of like showing off your skills. Yeah, but it's a point of you working along with the rest of the team so as you can achieve a common goal at the end of the day. Because the moment each of you gets in a bit of a different direction, like now things now tend to fall apart.
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you won't think. You understand? So it's a point of understanding what this person is actually trying to bring on board. Okay, then try to go back and think through and see, okay, so if their sense of direction is this, so if I did A, B, C, D, how would this actually be in that regard? Though for me, in my sense of direction, like how I do things, in most cases, when I get to see it with, let's say, like the director or the producer, I come up with a lot of questions that I get to ask, so that I preempt like all the possible,
Yes.
challenges that I would have thought probably
You see
would
them
come through.
before they
Like,
happen.
exactly, yes. So I always want to think outside the box so that when I get to engage this person, maybe at a later stage, like not so much of those things will probably work out. And I think for most of the productions I've worked on, I think I've surprised more of the directors and the producers of the productions, in the sense that they're also wowed like about some of the things that you don't like. Hey, also
This was possible.
So you get I get less of their rejections, but more of their appreciation. Yes.
Nice. What productions have you worked on?
A number of them. Number of them. Of course, some local and others international productions. But of course, being acted here, like they're more of like amateur. Because remember, if it's international, you expect such a production having been worked on by like professional practitioners in theater. Yes. Now, once it comes here, it comes like an amateur sort of a production. But when you get to see it in realness, now you also like push to compare.
You look at it from another angle, like, oh, this was
profession, and these guys, I think they're relatively
we are a
equal to,
match.
they're getting good. Okay, they are close. Yeah, they have really given it a shot, and they have really given their energy. I've worked on a number of them. To mention
but a few.
I think I've worked on Merchant of Venice.
Nice.
I've worked on Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
I've worked on which one?
I can remind you. She Loves Me.
Of course, She Loves Me. Yes, I was looking out for that name.
Yes.
There was a Doom Tale.
A Doom
It was
Tale
a
musical.
combination between the Western and the local. So it was a synergy between what the Western kind of experience and here home. I've also worked the local ones. The other one, it was one of our internal staff production. And
Mr.
Brad Rivals.
Brad Rivals.
I've also worked on
My Fair Lady.
There's My Fair Lady.
Yes.
They are numbered.
A
I'm
couple
just putting
of
off it, some of those, but there are really so many. Yes.
Beautiful. What, as a sound designer, what do you think what role do you think sound plays in a production?
In a production, of course, sounds creates a lot of brings on board a lot of elements. Yeah, because without it, of course, you really feel there is a gap. Yeah, somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
And along the way, probably you might lose it out, and maybe your focus now is drawn over to maybe other things now the kind of generation where we are, maybe you get yourself into the phone and maybe you look at TikTok and whatsoever. Yeah, but sound is a very big role player into theater, that it creates a mood, it builds tension, it guides, of course, the audience emotions. Yeah, it can also make the scene more immersive. Yeah, and highlight the characters, inner state. Because when we look at maybe those sad moments, yeah, in relation to the sound, so you see in most cases that the character now gets to sit into the moment, and you really see, like that moment even driving the audience into that point of now like trying to, tear out.
Yes.
Exactly, and they feel really that emotional that some of them can't even contain it in a production. And we've seen most of these things happen with the audience. So meaning without sound, theater would just feel a bit more flat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are those, like, your do's and don'ts if you're doing sound? What are those things that you must do before the production, and what are those things that you must not do as a sound designer before the production? I'm talking about like your preparation as a person.
Of course, it's really coupled with a lot of things. First and foremost, it begins with a conscience of mind. Yeah, that you have to prepare yourself, like you prepare your emotions, you prepare your mind, like make yourself confident. Like what you're going for is you're really actually going to do it, and you're really going to give it your best. Because not like any other production looks the same way like the previous one.
No.
So every production brings on board like different elements altogether. So in the so doing, you prepare yourself, of course, mentally, and now it also gets down with the gadgets that you're actually going to be using. Maybe the laptop, your hard drives, and all the artworks that you've been positioned to create. The effects that are actually going to work for that production. Yeah, and also putting yourself in a space where you really have to meditate. Yeah, to where that bit of of the production itself, because it's not only to the cast.
You're also
themselves.
playing a character.
Yeah, of course. You see, now for us, now being engineers, we might seem to be invisible, but we are now invisible characters.
Exactly.
We don't appear on stage, but
you move things.
Our role
things
now is being played from the background, but we work along.
Yes.
We work along with the cast. Meaning, if you tend to deviate away a little bit from what is actually happening in realness, in the realness, what the audience is able to see, like someone can notice.
Yes.
Yeah, someone can notice. More so, maybe the team that you've been working with along the way, they can notice there's actually been a glitch, and it should have been caused to maybe one or two issues. So it also reminds us that we really have to be, part and parcel to this whole thing, because we are a team. Yeah. So the Seka Sounds might be on stage there showcasing their thing, but us now here in the background, we also now do the supportive role, so that we can make them, walk along the acts of all the acts that they're trying to showcase on stage, to make everything like seamless and flawless.
And you know that once something was wrong in your department, then the actor on stage will be tipped off. Maybe everybody you can mess it up. So that's an important
Of
point
course, it's
for.
very easy. It's very easy, and because I've gotten an experience with one of the cast. I can't recall the production, but this lady told me that she really wanted to get the feel of the effect for that particular moment. Then now she can sit
into her
the
character.
because without the effect, she wouldn't really
Get
pull
into
it off the best way possible. Of course, it was a bit sorrowful, and a lot of sadness was involved into it, where she was actually supposed to appear on stage and, like, tearing out, and you see, now getting someone emotional is not easy. It's not very easy.
I know.
More so if you've been smiling all the way, and now you have to turn
You have
into
to.
that element of sadness. It's not quite
It's
easy.
not easy.
So, and I understood, I'm like, okay. So I think we have moments where now the sound has to, put someone into this
Into
kind of
another kind
bit of
of,
experience to
emotion.
give them that kind of feel. Okay, so it was a pointer for me to note. Yeah, and while I'm also doing things, I'm also much more mindful and careful about the choices I make. That would probably sit within that person's character to bring it out the best way possible, the way it's actually supposed to be, for the audience as well also to appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing with us that experience. We are still with Richard, good people. Richard is a sound designer with the National Theatre, with the Uganda National Culture Center. And he's telling us about what he does as a sound designer, as a sound engineer, what are those ethics, what are the do's and don'ts, and it is very insightful. Richard, we go to what are those sound design software and equipment that you use?
The equipment that we use. Of course, there's a variety of equipment that we use, but it also depends on the kind of gear that you have, because not every gear will handle, let's say now, for instance, like the softwares. So there are those that are made maybe specifically for Mac machines, and there are those that are actually made specifically for PCs or Windows. Yes. But me personally, of course, I use Mac products, like the iPad, for maybe just doing remote control for the mixer, because it is all the way up. Like the control room, our control room is all the way up, so running up and down makes you a bit,
Yeah, it can bog you down. Yeah, I know it's
exactly. So just to try to manage the work and to pull off everything in a little possible time possible, is now to make things much more easier, is like to have some of those things. Yeah. So now for the softwares that we use for instance, for the sound design, the Mac people would go for QLab. But of course, that can be used for like playback of the effects. Then Logic Pro, that you can use for editing,
creating
and also the creation. But for me, as a Windows user, PC, I use so much of Ableton, that is for playback. Then sometimes, if it's not so much much more technical, I can go for like virtual DJ. That you can, of course, can as well work. You can have a number of decks that you can keep loading files, and maybe also adjust a number of elements that you really want to go for, because you program the volumes, maybe the speed at which the effect is actually supposed to run. Of course, increasing also a couple of features. Maybe there's more low end or mid range or high. Maybe you want to create like the telephone effect. Yeah, you adjust a couple of features so that it really sits within exactly what you want to achieve. Then in the design, mostly I use Studio One, and sometimes I also use Adobe Audition.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's technical. This is still technical as
Yeah,
well.
but of course, that also involves a range of like microphones.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
But
where I was
also-
going.
But also that
That's
sort
how
of
it's going.
depends. That depends on the kind of production that you're going for, because there are productions where you'll have a cast that is really audible enough, like the Seka sounds. They are self-made, well amplified, and when they get in a space that is well acoustically treated,
You don't need to
honestly,
mic them.
giving them close miking, you'll be doing them a disservice.
So you let them
exactly,
project.
So you let them project because they know how they're actually going to have control or the dynamics in the different given acts or scenes where they're actually coming through. So for their case, we do ambience miking, but of course with condenser mics that can really pick their voices from a given distance. But then there are also like other productions that, for instance, like
Musicals, yes.
productions where you need close miking, where we go for lapels, yeah, especially the head ones, because there are instances where the music comes in, but now you don't want to have this person like picked up by the ambience, because the ambience will pick the music, will also pick the voice.
Yeah, it
Of
becomes
the character. So you really want to
becomes
close them
noisy
closely,
now.
make them closely, so that while they are singing, you really have that aspect where now the act now sits into maybe either the track, they could be recorded tracks or live tracks, but you can't now tell the indifference are they singing or
the instruments doing their thing.
they're just doing lip syncing, you know, with the track. But then in actual sense, actually, there's a time I think we're doing My Fair Lady, where one of the audience members came and asked, "Are those guys actually singing or they're lip syncing?" I'm like, yes, they actually are. They are singing.
That's a plus for you, the sound designer. Have made people believe this is pre-recorded.
Exactly. So they thought maybe they're just lip syncing over the music that
because the sound was flawless.
Exactly. So the character now sits into the track, and now you can't separate the track from
the recorded thing.
Of course, the actor. Yes.
Have you worked with? This is also a technical thing with maybe specific sound consoles. Are there some that you prefer to the others? Maybe if you could lead us shortly through that, what your preferences are for someone who wants to be a sound designer. What are those your choices? Are there some like sound console or equipment that you prefer to the others, and why?
Looking at the age of things currently, and the change of technology, I wouldn't say, because of course having mentioned that statement is good enough for someone to say, now this gentleman,
we know where you're going.
I know where they are going. But early in the days, before we moved into the digital era, of course we had the analog. Of course the analog is good. The analog is good. It really gives you so much. Of course, the richness in sound, the tightness in sound, and the quality.
It gives you so much to work with.
Exactly. It's in music. It's really good. And of course also for theater, it's really good. But the only con that it has is, of course, it calls for so much external processors that you need to bring on board. Now, if you looked at an analog mixer in its day form, it will only give you maybe the parametric EQ, maybe also give you maybe a one-note compressor, and maybe some bit of auxiliaries, and maybe a few reverbs, that you can work along with. Though there are also those analog, semi-analog digital, they cut across in between. Of course, they also have some bit of enhancement, but now the digital now has more.
It has,
because with the analog, if you maybe need like compression on a given element, it means you need to have an external processor. for compression.
Mm.
So if you need them on a couple of, let's say, maybe acts, yeah, then that means, because most of them are designed in a way that it's like two-way, like two channel, like one channel, then the next channel. So if you have like maybe something like around 10, so you need like 5
To to achieve
of those
that.
processors to achieve that, so that you can send the signal first to the processor, then comes back to the mixer.
That's a
You understand?
process.
Of course, that's also another long process, which we can't go into now. But with the digital, it comes like a whole sum.
Yes, one thing in
So you have a
package.
desk, and that desk now has a number of processors inbuilt within. So it's just a matter of now you going accessing those processors, of course with reason, because
Yes.
you don't have to like look out for anything just for just. You really want to look out for it for a purpose. Maybe if you really want to like for instance, you want to control, bring on control over the dynamic ranges of a character. Yeah, so you want maybe to have a compressor on board. Let's see if it's a musical and they are singing, because you understand, you get to understand that they have those louder moments, then there are those calm moments. So now what the compression will help you is now to bring the louder elements down, and then get those that are a bit subtle,
you raise them up.
elevate them, so it will keep everything within that range. Yeah. So whatever that is loud and whatever that is a bit calm, they're all
balanced.
Exactly. That's why once you do the compression, then at the end of the day, you'll have now to make up for whatever that has actually been compressed. So you make up for the lost energy with a makeup gain structure.
Nice,
yes,
nice.
Exactly. So we go for currently the digital mixers will really work much better.
It's more
and
preferred.
there are really a number of them that we have on market. Of course, we have the Yamaha series. Of course, you have the QL, you have the CL. Then you also have the Midas. You have the Behringer. In-house with us in here as National Theatre, we use QU series, Allen and Heath. Yeah, so they are really good. They are based on their, of course, on their versatility and reliability.
Yeah.
Exactly, the analog. Yes.
You talked of how you would need so much if you're using, for example, an analog mixer. You need so much to make sure you're doing your work. I am basing on that point for you to tell us your experience of what is that particularly challenging situation with sound design that you are able to solve. This is for a person out there who wants to come to sound, or if they are doing sound, maybe they would like to learn from you. How did you? It could be one or two, any that you choose. That specific challenging situation that you are able to solve from your expertise.
Okay. Is it particularly in sound design or sound engineering?
Sound engineering in general.
In general?
Yes.
Okay. The one that I recently can recall is, of course, I'd worked on a project, but then just coincidentally, it just crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, I think I need to have something like a backup on me.
Okay.
Just in case, because anything can happen. Because you see, technology is weird.
Yeah.
Today, you might seem to work on something, and it works out very well. You even go ahead and test everything, and it seems just to be
just fine.
And when you get on a D-Day, now things tend to flip a bit and misbehave. So, and this is what happened. I remember we were doing She Loves Me. So in that production, the tracks were being run on an iPad. Now guess what? Along the way in the production, the iPad freezes.
Wow. Hey.
The iPad freezes, and no one could expect that.
Yeah, you don't expect
It
it.
freezes. I was I feel maybe because everything that we're doing was live. Because remember, like to some of those international productions, they might buy rights
Yes.
to stage that production in your own country. So what they do, like they put the files like on an online platform, so you can't download them.
Yes.
So you
You
have
can
access.
only play them from
Exactly,
that site.
exactly. So you only log in and play them. Now, in case there's a timeout with the internet, anything can what?
Ah, yes.
Can
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
So once we were doing that, like running along the way the show, actually it was almost close to an intermission.
I was in that show. I remember.
And something really weird happened and no one knows how. And we really had to get ourselves onto the feet on finding a solution there and then that would really work out in the least possible time ever. And I remember there was a cable that we're looking for. And I so happened to have, it was, I think, a connector. It was a converter. So I happened to have one of them. But remember, like having something, but you do not occasionally use it.
It's just there.
But it's just there. Like, sometimes you need to keep some of these things with you. And more so if I'm preparing also to go, like maybe I'm going to run a show, I put some of those things close, like maybe close to me. At that time,
That's very bad advice.
I just kept it somewhere. I'm like, maybe just in case. And now when this thing happened,
The connector came in handy.
is when we had now to pull out something to actually save the situation. But of course now with a phone.
With a phone, yes.
Now that worked as a backup.
Yes.
With a phone. So we did away with
The iPad.
And we had to run everything on a phone. And funny enough, these things were all running on Mac products only. Surprisingly. So Windows, Android. You get so. And at the time, I think when we were done with the intermission, getting into the other part of the show, like everything had actually gotten back to normal. But of course, you see, with a lot of pressure. You understand? And that really helped me now to understand the importance of preparation. Yeah. To always now to get to think outside the box. Think of the eventualities. Of course, most people don't want to do that. But for me, since then, I put myself into that kind of direction. In everything that I do.
In other words, always have a backup,
Be
always
it-
have an extra
exactly,
wire,
be it
always have an
in
extra
the
jack.
nature of the work that I do, but even in my life as a person. I at one point want to play a devil's advocate, because even then while we converse, I'll tell you, but you know what? How do you think if ABCD happened? But of course, someone will tell you, but why do you always want to be on the negative side? But you tell them,
It's preparation.
You can never know. Anything can happen. So, like there's a Uganda saying that says, "Chijomanyi chikolachi chinyaga bitono." So it's better you prepared about some situation than just being caught unaware. You see, because once you have an idea of something, you'll be like, I
knew
I
this.
knew. Now that it happened, I know
You
how to
have a
handle it.
solution
But
already.
now when it really just catches you off guard, you're like, oh God, finished one.
And in that holding your hand in your head in your hands, time is going.
Of course, time goes.
Time is going.
Time goes because for
But
it,
if
it
you're
never
already
waits.
prepared,
It never waits. So it will just
keep going.
just run, take off. Yeah.
We can't talk about productions and design without talking about things like budgets.
Why?
How do you balance this creative vision with a practical consideration of like the budget and the resources at hand?
In most cases, actually, me as an individual, I mostly focus so much on storytelling. Yeah, I focus so much on the storytelling. But of course, even with the limited resources, you see also carefully chosen sounds can achieve, a strong impact in a production. Yeah. Of course, the budgets can be there. Yes, they can. But what do you do? Yeah. If let's say you need this maybe like given equipment that you really want to bring on board, and you feel it's really what to actually bring out the kind of experience that you really wanted, but the budgets really can't allow. So now that's why in most cases it's much better or good enough to, like, while you're planning with your plan A, but at least a plan B has to be at the back of your mind.
And even a C, I think.
You understand? So that when you start to see things actually getting off trail, now you tend to
You got your
see
backup
how
plan.
you're getting into the plan B. So that at least you're not that affected much. You have your vision here, and then you're like, okay, if this now fails to work, but what can relatively now equate to this? I think we can have this. And it can possibly bring out, the aspect that you really want to achieve. And no one in the audience actually is actually going to notice that. It is only you
and
your team
the insiders
that you're planning along with that will understand that, wow, God has been merciful and he pulled it off. And then everyone will just be coming out forward and like, you guys have really done an amazing job.
You know what happened
because for you to smile, your smile is now like taking you back, like how I wish you guys knew what we were going through and what we did, to come up to this particular point. You understand? So it's so much on focusing onto that story, because once you fix yourself onto that, it might really make things fail to work out. Yes.
Yeah, as we near the conclusion, let's talk about the trends today. Someone out there wants to come into sound design, sound engineering. What are those opportunities you think exist today? What are those innovations that are happening that you're excited about? Generally, paint for us that picture right now. What's happening?
Of course, a lot is actually happening, really a lot, because we have immersive sound and 3D audio. That is really exciting, and really anyone probably want to go for, and such things, once they're in place. Now, for some of you who have been to cinema spaces, where you have like is it 5D, 4D, 5D, 3D, where you get to feel some bit of like surround sound.
You're just seated in a theater, but you feel like
creating
the world of
a deeper engagement. Like you feel things, like you feel as if you're sitting in a moment. You understand? That's why in such places where you have those 3D experiences, where you have to put on 3D glasses. Imagine you're watching a horror movie, and something creepy is really happening. You might feel it's coming after you, but of course it's just an imagination that is actually happening, and they are chasing someone, and you feel freaked out. You also feel you want to, I think you really want to also get out of the seat and take off. And also those other moments where it gives you that experience where like it feels so cold. Now you're seeing the snow. Now you also start wearing goosebumps. You understand? Exactly. So the world has really
evolved,
and things really have changed, and and I think someday somehow, maybe with theater, we
shall get there.
would actually want to get into that kind of experience. But when someone really gets into theater, they really get to experience that bit of element. That is much more than like the stereo, the stereo format that we have, into now maybe the 3D and the surrounding, the surrounding experience. Yes.
what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a sound designer? First of all, would you advise someone to become a sound engineer, sound designer? What is that advice you'd give them to really, if they want to join this industry of yours, what are those things they must put into consideration?
Of course, it really involves a lot. It really involves a lot. You see, us being sound engineers, sometimes you'd really want to trade your skills more than any other thing. But of course, skills can put you somewhere. But of course, there are also other aspects that come along. So whoever really wants to venture into this, for me, I would think they need to start small, volunteer, learn from every experience. Of course, like from the practicing team that is available wherever in a given space where you are. Of course, to be curious, be patient, and of course also be collaborative. Yeah, because in so doing is when now you can pick on a couple of things and a number of things that you've actually never imagined. Yes.
Thank you so much, Richard, for today. This is where we are getting to the concluding bits. Any last words out there, an encouragement, anything that you feel you want to put out there as a sound designer or generally about theatre, about life as we conclude?
Okay. As we conclude, I would really want to say that for theatre and maybe for sound engineering, and more so given the nature of the country where we are, Uganda, we really have very few practitioners, professional practitioners. Very few of them, they're countable on fingers. Though the market out there has so many people practicing into this, but of course with little knowledge, yeah, maybe you acquire the little that you know, and now you feel you can, deliver so much, but which is not the case. Yeah, of course, I'll give you an example of like the mechanics for cars. You go to a garage, you find a number of small boys, maybe who have been, who are in their vacation, senior 6, senior 4, maybe picking a few ideas. Maybe once they know how to handle the different parts, the next time you'll find them along the way, trying to, work on people's cars. But of course, once you do not take that much to put yourself into that direction,
Can't get there.
along the way you might mess up with a couple of things, and now what might have seemed to be a solution now becomes a mess. You understand? So I really want to encourage all those that are really passionate about this to give it a shot, but also to, come out of the shell and, challenge themselves. Because where we are right now, I will not tell you that I reached an epitome where I feel I'm comfortable. No, because given the involvement of things that keep changing on day in, day out, so many things keep changing, and every day is a learning, the learning process. You keep on being challenged by a number of things, even with the things that you actually well acquainted with. You'll be like, hey, now this one, I've never imagined this that would be working this kind of manner, but then it's actually being brought out in this kind of case. I think, okay, let me also give it a try and see. So you keep discovering a number of things, even with the things that you're used to. So it's a learning process. It's a learning process. Even us, we are still learning. The process keeps on continuing over and over, on and on. So I encourage those that really have the passion to stick in, but also look out for all those opportunities that can really make them much better. Invest in themselves. If maybe it's doing sound design, you need to invest in yourself on a couple of things, maybe like equipment wise and things that can help you, get all those much better results. Exactly.
Lastly, what are you proud about as a sound designer? What are you proud about in your occupation or as a sound designer?
What I'm proud about?
Yes.
What I'm proud about is the fact that I can be able to give this immersive support to whichever production house or director or producer to get to fit within what their expectations are. Because like I shared with you earlier, that the moment we get into the depth of the script, get to understand the a point of expectation, and then what can I also bring on table, and once I also make my final submissions, I find it that they appreciate so much than getting more of those rejections. So it really makes me happy that I think I took enough time to really try to work out a number of things and to surprise them. You understand?
Yeah.
In a good way, because also surprise them also come in a bad way.
Yes.
Surprise them, and we really pull off with something good, and something that the audience can as well also appreciate and take home as a plus. Exactly.
Thank
and also
you.
wanting much more, maybe to come to support and also maybe watch more of the productions, because it is to some of those things that we do that now keeps bringing those people back on board, because they know that the experience that they once interfaced is good enough to bring them back again.
Thank you so much, Richard. Follow us on ITI Uganda pages. We are everywhere on social media. Follow us and keep watching for these conversations to keep coming to you. Thank you for tuning in today, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. See you when you see us.